What's going on, everybody? Welcome to JeepDawgs. We are rebranding the channel. CrazyK86CU has been a username of mine for almost 2 decades. That's where the YouTube channel name came from. However, it doesn't do great in search results, and it's a bit of a mouthful to remember, so we're changing the name to something pretty easy to remember. In each new Jeep video, we're going to have a new Jeep dog introducing the video and helping me work on the project. So in today's video, Jeep dog Penelope here is going to help me install these badass Poison Spyder functional hood vents. Let's go ahead and get to it. The first step of this install is going to be to remove the hood insulation. Now, I've already done that on this Jeep during my previous hood strut install. So I'm just going to let past me show you how to do that. Removing these plastic rivets should be simple enough, but I hear they break easy, so just take your time with it and use a trim tool here, like this one. I'm going to get up under here and just carefully try to pop it off. With all of those plastic rivets removed, we should be able to shimmy loose the shield here. All right, enough of that. Let's take it back to the present. So we are now going to locate our plastic OEM hood louvers, which are not functional, and you'll notice these tabs all around it. We're just going to press those in. Probably can do it with our hands. If not, use a Phillips head or something. Press those in while applying some upward pressure, and you should be able to pop these right out the top. Now, if you wanted to do this the free way, you could simply take your OEM vents, take a Dremel, and simply cut out the plastic bottom here. And then you would have some fully functioning vents. I wanted to go with these really cool metal vents from Poison Spyder, so that's what we are installing today. Okay, this next step may or may not look a little bit different for you. This is how I'm doing it. I don't want to reinstall the heat shielding or the insulation. I want to leave it bare metal hood. However, these hood louvers, they were designed to be installed sandwiching the insulation between the top piece, the hood, and then the backing piece. And as you can see here, there's a little lip here, which the OEM vent snaps onto, and that is not flush. So our little gasket looking piece here, it's not going to sit really flush. It will pretty much on the other side, but on actually it won't really fit flush on either side. So what I'm going to do for my install, and with this said, honestly, you could have just you could just install it like that and be fine. I mean, this is literally just holding those hood vents in place. It's you don't really have to worry about this, but I like to overdo things. So what I'm going to do is I have laid out my hood vents where they would go on my insulation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to poke about 4 holes in each of those, put the bolts through them. I'm going to bolt these gasket things on the back side. Then I'm going to flip over this insulation, which is why I still have this in plastic, just so we don't scratch these all up. And I'm going to cut out basically almost a gasket size layer of the insulation just to smush it up into those, where those lips are, make it fit a little better. So we'll see how that works. Now that we have a good idea of where these are going to go, I'm going to go ahead and trace the inside and outside of these with a Sharpie on each side, and we'll cut it out after we take these off so we don't damage the underside, or technically the top side. We don't want to get that all scratched up from cutting. So let's go ahead and trace this out. Now I'm going to go ahead and take these back off. Now we're going to cut these out, and if it isn't already obvious, I'm more concerned with making sure the inside cut is good and clean, because if I leave a big chunk on the interior, that's going to show through the hood vent. So we're going to work on mainly keeping this a clean cut, and I don't mind giving myself a little extra berth on the outer edges. Before we start popping those hood louvers in, it's a good idea to just go ahead and clean the surface around here, just in case there's any grime. You don't want that stuck between your paint and the metal. So I'm just going to get a microfiber and just hit it with some quick detail stuff. Alright, what we're going to do next is we're going to take each of our vents here, and you're going to take the corresponding cutout with the vents upward. Shiny side is going to be upward, so that's how you know you got the right section. So I'm going to line up the holes that we initially made with some bolts, and then I'm going to punch the rest of these all the way through as well. That way we don't have to be punching the holes for these while we're trying to install them in the hood. So I'm just inserting these to kind of give me a guide, and then I'm just going to go through with my scratch awl and punch the rest of these. Try not to stab yourself. That's inadvised. And then you can set this aside, because we are going to have to take this apart and sandwich the hood with it. Now we can start installing the hood vents. I'm going to lay the vent top in first, and hopefully the bolts will kind of just hold it from sliding until we can get some nuts and washers on it. And then I'm going to take my piece here, try to guide these in, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on taking our backing plate, and we'll grab a washer and a nut, and we'll get 4 of those started, and then we can move on to just putting all of those on. But you don't want to forget your gasket-like thing here either. Alright, so I've managed to get 4 in. I've only lost 1 washer into somewhere we'll never return ever again. I think the easiest way is to start with the top one, let it hang, and then work your way into getting the rest of these in. What would really help is if you have another pair of hands, somebody that can just hold the top and put pressure on it while you try to put the nuts and washers on from the inside. Now we're going to tighten everything down using a 3/8 wrench and a 1/8 Allen key. We don't want to get these too tight because you will deform the hood. We just want them snug. There aren't any torque specs, so just use your best judgment. That's going to take forever. If you're at all concerned about losing a washer or bolt like I just did a little while ago, don't worry, it doesn't come with any spares. Now that I've made a trip to Lowe's and purchased spares, we can continue our install. As you can see, not a particularly difficult install, just a little tedious when you only have one pair of hands. If you have any questions or comments, you know where to leave them. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Be sure to like and subscribe, and see you in the next one. No. You're gonna fall. There you go.